The Fox News White House war update. There's been this war between the Fox News and the White House. The White House has been claiming that the White House, or rather Fox News has been claiming that the White House attacks on them have been making their ratings skyrocket. It turns out it's simply not true. Now, remember, I said I disagreed with the White House criticism of Fox News and that there's no possible upside to it. And every week that we think about this, I still am subscribed to that. The upside for the White House to directly attack Fox News is essentially non-existent. Regardless, Fox has said that their ratings have skyrocketed as a result. It turns out they haven't. If we look at total viewers from 2 weeks before the attacks and 2 weeks after, ratings have increased about 2%. And it's such a small change that it would be very hard to say that it directly relates to those criticisms.
It could, but I doubt it.
And even if it did,
not really impressive.
It's not impressive by any means, no. And ratings do fluctuate; they're not the same. And 2%, I mean, it's not. If we went from, I don't know, whatever channel the Super Bowl is on, and whatever show would normally be on at 6:30 in the afternoon on a Saturday night, to Super Bowl Sunday, and you see that ratings quadruple, it's safe to say that it's because of Super Bowl Sunday. Now, if ratings went up 2%, it would be harder to make the case that ratings have increased because of the Super Bowl, right? I think this is kind of the same case.
I agree, right.
Scott Roeder has pled guilty. Scott Roeder is the killer of abortion doctor Tiller. And this is the Kansas case where Scott Roeder shot to death abortion doctor George Tiller. He was defiant and unapologetic. He was accused of shooting the Kansas abortion provider and then confessed to the slaying on Monday, telling the Associated Press that he killed the doctor to protect unborn children. And we knew that this was going to be his explanation. We didn't know if he would plead guilty or not. Scott Roeder is 51, Kansas City, Missouri. He spoke to the AP in a telephone call from jail. He says he plans to argue at his trial that he was justified in shooting Dr. George Tiller at the Wichita church that he attended in May. And he said, because of the fact that preborn children's lives were in imminent danger, this was the action I chose. I want to make sure that the focus is obviously on the preborn children and the necessity to defend them. Defending innocent life, that's what prompted me. It's pretty simple, he said. No, I don't have any regrets because I've been told so far at least 4 women have changed their minds that I know of and have chosen to have their baby. So even if one changed her mind, it would be worth it. No, I don't have any regrets, also refusing to apologize for the murder. Not a surprise that this was the angle he was taking. It says here that while he confessed, this doesn't address what his plea will be, and it sounds like he will try to plead not guilty based on the fact that he says he was defending lives in taking one. Where will that go?
I'm sure this guy will be locked up. I
Death penalty?
I don't really know. I don't think so.
No, and do you think it will be because of the jury's bias against abortion? I mean, we don't even know what the jury will be at this point. It's hard to say. I don't know. I can't imagine that, based on the legal system, it's any kind of a viable defense. And we've had Jenny Carroll on the show, an attorney and a law professor, to talk about whether this is a viable defense. And it could be attempted, but legally, it doesn't really stand up.
Right. I don't see anything less than, huge amount of jail time happening.
Life in prison.
Possibly,
presumably.
I guess, yeah.
Well, Al Gore feels that Barack Obama actually did deserve the Nobel Prize. Take a listen to what he said.
Well, I think that he changed the relationship between the United States and the rest of the world in a very dramatic way in a short period of time. I think that his opening to the Muslim world was a very significant step. I think that it's always difficult in the near term to speculate on what history will judge later on. But I think his moves toward denuclearizing the world and building a coalition against Iran, getting nuclear weapons are among the things they mentioned, and I think that he's a deserving recipient.
Okay.
I like Al Gore, and I think he does great work. I don't know that I agree with him that Barack Obama is a deserving recipient based on what he said and changing the attitudes of people. Remember, he was nominated for the Nobel Prize only 11 days after taking office. So I don't know that Al Gore's explanation really stands up.
Al Gorleone, the head of the Gorleone crime family.
Right, it's like just becoming president was And having the middle name Hussein was
it changed things,
right.
And therefore you qualify for the Nobel Peace Prize. I don't know. I think it's a pretty weak case. I'm sticking with...
I think he's slowly changing the world's view of the U.S.
For the better?
For the better, yes. Oh, definitely.
Well, we'll see. I think that we'll see how history looks back at it.
I kind of just don't care about the Nobel Prize.
Right. Well, the thing is, you get $1.4 million, which Barack Obama is donating, but maybe it could have gone to somebody who did a little bit more. I mean, it's kind of a lot of money, right?
This is a very bad country.
Well, it's being donated.
He did donate
to
it.
Something great, I'm sure.
I don't know to what, but presumably to something great. 2 years ago on Midweek Politics, we were talking about John McCain, and John McCain was at a rally where one of his constituents, stood up and said regarding Hillary Clinton, at the time assuming that Hillary Clinton would be the Democratic nominee for president, how can we beat the bitch? And I think you'll remember talking about that on the show 3 years ago on Midweek Politics.
Two or 3 years.
This was 2 years ago for McCain. Okay. 3 years ago, 1 year, one extra year back, Nancy Pelosi being elected as the first female Speaker of the House, and we remember how that happened. How do you think Nancy Pelosi has done so far?
Fine, I guess. She certainly gets a lot more media attention
than the previous speakers of the House. Of course, we had Dennis Hastert and John Boehner. I guess the attention is deserved. Nancy Pelosi has made some strange PR decisions in terms of the things she's said and done. Certainly well liked by her constituency, and we will see how her legacy continues. And of course, she will be up for re-election again shortly. And I think it's pretty safe to say she is a safe Democratic seat representing San Francisco and that entire district from California.
Certainly doesn't seem like it was 3 years ago.
Next week on Midweek Politics, Ralph Nader. Questions for Ralph Nader, please send them in to radio@midweekpolitics.com, and plenty more coming in the next weeks and months on Midweek Politics. Please visit our new website, midweekpolitics.com. We have almost all of our interviews back up, including the controversial interviews with Shirley Phelps Roper from the Westboro Baptist Church and her brother Jonathan Phelps, our past interview with Ralph Nader, Kathleen Willey, who, if you remember, claimed that Bill Clinton put her hand on his penis in the Oval Office, among a number of other things. A ton of interviews. Please check out the new midweekpolitics.com and consider becoming a Midweek Politics member. Thanks for listening. We will be back with more next week. I'm David Pakman from Northampton, Massachusetts, and that's it for this week.
You're listening to Midweek Politics with Dave Pakman.